Hey people, it's Niles talking. Now this is another Black Heroes video, and I'm gonna do something quite unusual because both of these sources are quite short. I'm just gonna include both stories in the video, and I'm gonna preface this because the YouTube won't let me put links in the description. I'm just going to tell you what the source is, and you can search it out yourself. So it's edu.lva.virginia.gov, education.virginia.gov, or you could just look up Dangerfield Newby in the search engine. So here it goes. Biography: Dangerfield Newby, circa 1820-1859, was born in Culpeper County, the oldest child of Henry Newby, a white man, and Elsie Newby, an enslaved black woman. In 1850, Henry Newby sold his land in Culpeper and moved with his family to Bridgeport, Ohio, thereby freeing his wife and their children. Shortly after moving to Bridgeport, Dangerfield Newby began raising money to buy his own wife and children, who were enslaved in Prince William County, Virginia. In the spring and summer of 1859, his wife wrote to him 3 times expressing concern that the owner would sell her before Newby was able to raise the money to free her. "Come this fall, without fail, money or no money, I want to see you so much," Harriet Newby wrote. "It is said, Master is in want of money, so I know not what time he may sell me, and then all my bright hopes of the future are blasted." Newby raised $742 towards the price that Harriet Newby's owner had set for her and one child, but he was unable to free his family. Shortly after learning of this disappointment, he joined John Brown in the planning for the raid on Harper's Ferry. During the raid, Newby shot and killed a grocer before he himself was shot and killed. His wife's letters were found on his body. In the 1890s, his remains were moved from an unknown location to John Brown's farm in North Elba, New York. Okay, now I'm going to read this other one, which is from blackpast.org, and I have used this source multiple times. So I want to say this to anyone: if you have money, please support blackpast.org with a donation. This is a great resource and it deserves to be supported. So let's keep going. A former slave, Dangerfield Newby was one of several participants in John Brown's raid on the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry, Virginia in October 1859. Newby was the son of his white slave master, Henry Newby, a Scots immigrant, and his slave, Elsie Pollard. After his father freed him, Newby remained in the Shenandoah Valley area, making a living as a blacksmith. His wife, Harriet Grant, and their 6 children, however, remained enslaved on a plantation in Warrenton, Virginia. Newby became involved in Brown's scheme to facilitate an armed rebellion among the slaves by taking over the arsenal and its surrounding buildings and distributing weapons to enslaved blacks. Newby, who was familiar with the area, supplied arms and other provisions to Brown's brigade. Newby was shot and killed instantly during the gun battle that broke out between white Harper Ferry townsmen and the rebels. According to Mary Lawson Newby, her husband Dangerfield Newby Jr. often told the story how his father died. He was a slave boy on another farm, and his daddy was coming back to buy the freedom of his wife and 2 or 3 young ones when they killed him. Dangerfield Newby Jr., who was just 4 years old when his father was killed, eventually became a minister in Durham, North Carolina. Now, I wanted to say that from what I've seen so far is that Dangerfield Newby was the actual real-life inspiration for Django in Django Unchained. And I wanted to put this story out because you see a narrative that is put out by certain figures in social media and certain malevolent forces to say that the black man has never protected black women and children, is that she's been on her own, and that he's sort of just can't run. That is not true. Many black men have fought and died to protect their black women and children, and this has to be recognized. And the last part where Dangerfield Newby talks about how his father, it reminds me of something that Dr. Welsing had a quote, and I think this was something I remember reading in the ISIS papers. Black men who are not willing to stand up to white supremacy do not deserve to have children. And any man who is unworthy of, who isn't willing to stand up to white supremacy and has children, those children will be destroyed. So men like Dangerfield Newby should be uplifted. Any man who is willing to stand up to white supremacy should be raised up on a platform. And also, you see how he talked about it. He may have never seen his father alive, but he remembered that he was a hero who stood up for freedom. And even with there was no father in his life, there was an example set for him to follow. So anyway, Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I won't be able to leave the links in the description, but I've tried to give explain where they are so you can search them up yourself. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.